There's a lot of dragons in the show How to Train Your Dragon, but which are the biggest? Well, today we will see the top 10 biggest dragons in this franchise, starting with the smallest up to the biggest. Without further ado, let's get started with number 10. Number 10, the Fireworm Queen. We will be starting off this list with this Stoker-class dragon, the Queen of Fireworms. It appeared first in Dragons Riders of Berk and looks similar to the average fireworm. However, unlike those that are only a few inches long and can fit into someone's hand, the queen is much larger. The Fireworm Queen's skin color becomes a pale gold color with tan-colored horns, spots, and underbelly when it's not close to the nest or heated up. Additionally, it has horns at the back of her nape and in the front of her snout, which makes it resemble a crown. Just like every fireworm out there, the queen is also able to heat her skin to high temperatures. Some folks even believe it can get as hot as the sun. Speaking of hot, fireworm queens can breathe extremely potent flames. These flame breaths are napalm typed, and they also emit particles similar to a firework. On top of that, it possesses a venom that is said to be so deadly that it can kill most animals and dragons too. However, the same venom can also be used to restore a Stoker-class dragon's worn-out fire. This venomous light bulb is around 89 feet long and weighs around 6,100 pounds. Number 9, the Whispering Death. Our next dragon is one that looks straight out of my nightmares, the Whispering Death. This boulder-class dragon was first mentioned in How to Train Your Dragon. Unlike most dragons that prefer to fly around the sky, this one prefers to traverse through the ground instead. Whispering Deaths are plagued with poor eyesight and are primarily cave dwellers. Due to this fact, they are extremely sensitive to bright light and it deters them. However, they have 6 rows of rotating teeth within their mouths. These same teeth allow them to drill through rock and make tunnels which they can travel through. Their physical appearance, however, resembles more of a giant grouper eel. They have no legs, but have long, flexible bodies covered with spines that they can also shoot. Generally, these dragons are aggressive and feared by humans and other dragons. This nightmare fuel monstrosity is 95 feet long and weighs around 2,000 pounds. It also has a rather narrow wingspan of 26 feet. Number 8, the Scaldron. Now moving on to something less terrifying, we have the Scaldron. Unlike the classic dragon, this one isn't known to breathe fire. The Scaldron is a large total-class dragon. To make up for the absence of fire, it scoops up water in its gullet, boils it internally, and shoots it at its victims. This is a huge sea dragon that has 4 stubby legs. It has a very long and thin neck. Its head also has a flexible jaw when filled with water. It also has a tail similar to a fish to help it swim. They are usually found in 3 colors, green, pale blue, and turquoise. However, when it runs out of water for too long, its skin will turn into a shade of gray as a result of dehydration. The approximate height of this dragon is 102 feet and weighs 3,000 pounds with a wingspan of 104 feet. Number 7, the Typhoon Ring. When we're talking about the biggest dragons, it's best not to ignore our next dragon, the Typhoon Ring. Famous for its massive wings, this is a large Stoker-class dragon that appeared in Dragons Riders of Berk. These dragons have 2 large horns and orange eyes. They also come in various colors and sport the appearance of a mixed breed between a monstrous nightmare and a timberjack. These dragons can shoot spirals of flames that are capable of burning everything in their path except the middle of it. Speaking of spirals, they can also cover themselves in flames and charge at their enemy in a drill-like fashion. Typhoon Rings are also capable of extinguishing forest fires by flapping their wings. Additionally, they can effortlessly uproot trees by walking into them. However, due to their massive wings of 201 feet, they are not so agile and have difficulty making sharp turns during flight. They are also 109 feet long and weigh somewhere around 6,000 pounds. Number 6, the Submaripper. Up next, we will delve into the sea and talk about the Submaripper. This aquatic dragon has the appearance of an eel with legs and can be identified by the foul-smelling bubbles that appear when it's close. It's a gigantic dragon that belongs both in the title and tracker classes and made its first appearance in Dragon's Race to the Edge. This dragon has a rounded head and snout with short neck and wings. At the same time, its head-to-body ratio is pretty large for a dragon. It has stripes on its body along with several lobes on its back. Since this dragon resides in aquatic environments, it has amphibious qualities like webbed feet. The Submaripper is a dragon that is capable of turning the ocean against various sailors. It can do this by creating a whirlpool with its mouth by sucking the nearby water. On top of that, it is capable of creating massive tidal waves by slamming its mouth massive body onto the water like a whale. This dragon is 166 feet long with its wingspan of 113 feet and also weighs 3,600 pounds. Number 5. The Shellfire. Still on the topic of aquatic creatures, our next dragon is also a gigantic tidal class dragon that made its first appearance in Dragon's Race to the Edge. The Shellfire is an enormous sea dweller that somewhat resembles a crustacean. It has 2 curved horns emerging from the sides of its head with a smaller one on its nose. It has a pair of relatively long wings, but does not seem broad enough to support the creature's flight. What makes this dragon famous is its tough carapace-like armor that gets mistaken for land masses. The armor grants it notable protection and even allows it to easily endure blows from its natural enemy, the Submaripper. In addition, it is capable of firing plasma-charged boulders over a mile similar to a mortar. Since it is plasma, these boulders can function underwater as well. Despite being rivals with the Submaripper, they are shy creatures and would often concede the battle to their opponent. However, they are capable of putting up a fight using their horns and plasma boulders when provoked. Shellfires measure twice the Submaripper at 332 feet long with a wingspan of 300 feet and weighs 7,600 pounds. Number 4. The Screaming Death. Next, we look at the not-so-distant cousin of the Whispering Death, the Screaming Death. This upgraded dragon is a gigantic, heavily mutated version of the Whispering Death, one that is born every 100 years. It is also a boulder-class dragon and first appeared in Dragon's Defenders of Berk. It has a similar appearance to a Whispering Death, but with a white, longer, and more massive body. It also has red eyes and 3 rows of teeth with a different type of dentition from its cousin. Despite its size, its wings are rather small. This dragon has abilities that are similar to the Whispering Death, but the Screaming Death leaves out the weaknesses. It is not affected by sunlight. In fact, younger Screaming Deaths are attracted to it. It is also capable of firing at least a dozen fireballs in rapid succession, and can also use a deafening scream that can summon Whispering Deaths nearby. This scream also affects the flight of other dragons. This massive dragon has a length of 365 feet and weighs 2,500 pounds, although its wingspan is similar to that of a Scaldron at around 104 feet. Number 3. The Red Death. Known for being the antagonist of the first How to Train Your Dragon movie, the Red Death is a gigantic dragon species of Stoker-class dragons. On its head, it has a nasal horn, a coral-shaped frill, and a jaw lined up with huge, needle-like teeth. Along with that, it also has 3 pairs of eyes, which removes the existence of blind spots. It is grayish-blue with an orange underside. Its body also sports coral-like and red spikes, which gives the dragon its name. Its tail also has a bludgeon that can also serve as a weapon. The Red Death packs a lot of firepower with methane-based flame jets. However, a drawback is that the methane fuel can be ignited before use. This can cause an explosion that can tear it from the inside. In addition, they are also an alpha species and are capable of controlling smaller dragons to obey their will. This dragon species is 400 feet long with a wingspan of 550 feet and weighs 22,000 pounds. Number 2. The Forever Wing. Another gigantic dragon we will talk about is the Forever Wing. This colossal dragon with an ancient-like appearance is a gigantic mystery-class dragon that first appeared in Dragon's Rise of Berk. It has a woody brown color with what appears to be branches emerging from its head and below its chin. These growths may resemble hair and a beard. The Forever Wing also has a thick foliage of vegetation on its back that serves as camouflage to help it hunt, escape, or get some undisturbed sleep. This dragon can produce massive amounts of lava. In addition, it can also shoot blasts of acid. However, these acid blasts are weaker than the lava and require less energy, so the Forever Wing prefers to use this. This dragon is also capable of telepathy and can also command dragons just like other alpha species. However, it is a benevolent leader and doesn't treat its subjects harshly. Unfortunately, the size of this dragon hasn't been revealed, so we can only assume that it is equal or slightly larger than the Red Death. Number 1. The Bewilderbeast. Finally, for the most grand of them all, the Bewilderbeast. As the exceedingly rare alpha dragon in the hierarchy of power, the Bewilderbeast is a gigantic title-class dragon that first appeared in How to Train Your Dragon 2. Bewilderbeasts are massive 4-legged dragons with a pair of tusks emerging from the sides of their heads, similar to an elephant. They have a flat face and a wide mouth. Between and around its eyes are a collection of antennae-like spikes that can vibrate rapidly. They also have a flaring crown of spikes emerging from the back of their heads, which eventually minimizes to a single row of spikes that ends at the tail. In addition, bewilderbeasts cannot fly despite having a pair of wings, and combined with their streamlined bodies, they are remarkable swimmers. These dragons can breathe supercooled water that freezes and forms huge ice crystals on contact. Just like the alpha dragons listed here, the bewilderbeast is also capable of manipulating the minds of most dragons. This Godzilla equivalent of dragon is 520 feet in length, with a wingspan of 150 feet and weighs 200,000 pounds. There you go, all the largest dragons the franchise of How to Train Your Dragon has to offer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. That's all for this video, and see you next time. Bye!